number way above, 750 billion. What's the story on gold?
Look, we've got the large gold holding. I doubt we're going to revalue it, but we are going to keep it there, again, as a store of value for the American people. We've also started to get into the 21st century, a Bitcoin strategic reserve. We're not going to be buying that, but we are going to use confiscated assets and continue to build that up. We're going to stop selling that. I believe that Bitcoin reserve at today's prices is somewhere between 15 and 20 billion.
And Mr. Secretary, all of these ideas to monetize the assets.
Happy Bitcoin Friday, freaks. It's your host, Odell, here for another Citadel Dispatch, the interactive live show focused on actionable Bitcoin and freedom tech discussion. That intro clip was Treasury Secretary Bessent. I think it was a Fox News interview yesterday that sent a bunch of people into a tizzy because he said he wasn't going to buy Bitcoin, or the government wasn't going to buy Bitcoin, and that they were going to confiscate Bitcoin to add to the strategic Bitcoin reserve. The second part was not really news, but it really sucks to hear it out loud. Probably will always suck to hear it out loud. He did say that they have about 125,000 Bitcoin. Kind of a questionable number, considering I'm pretty sure they still have 100,000 Bitcoin that they recovered from the Bitfinex hack, which should be returned to Bitfinex and Tether. So they might have way less Bitcoin than they think, or they might be playing a pretty fucked up game and not giving that 100,000 Bitcoin back to Bitfinex. Either way, it seems like Bessent clarified his comments later and said that they still intend to acquire Bitcoin through budget neutral ways, whatever that means. This is completely unrelated to the show, but it felt like an important timestamp to put here. I would just remind people, it actually is kind of relevant to our show. We have Alex Gleason joining us again we're going to do updates every 2 to 3 months. How's it going, Alex?
Hello.
I did your intro a little bit early because, as you might have remember from our last conversation with Alex, which, like I said, happened about 2 months ago. I think that was episode 164. Give that a listen if you haven't yet. He helped build Truth Social, and the public company that is Truth Social now has 15,000 Bitcoin. So Trump has packed his bags. Him and his cronies have a shit ton of Bitcoin. I think that's really the only bullet point you need in terms of wondering whether or not they're going to try and pump the living daylights out of Bitcoin. I mean, the self-interest is clearly there. But I skipped a step. Freaks, as always, Dispatch is brought to us by viewers like you. We have no ads or sponsors. Thank you to everyone who supports the show by donating Bitcoin. The most fun way to do that is through Nostr, either in our live chat or through your favorite Nostr app. If you've never used Nostr, I suggest trying to download Primal. Download the Primal app in your favorite app store. Give it a spin. Give your commentary. Interact with the show. It's a great way to participate, and I just love kicking it with you freaks. Another great way to support the show is Fountain Podcasts or any other podcasting 2.0 app. The largest zap from last week was Nostr K with 21,000 sats, saying highly speculative and degen, but obviously enjoyed. Stay humble and stack sats. Great advice. And our highest zap on Nostr was Mav21 with 10,031 sats. Thank you, Mav21, ride or die freak. Anyway, guys, all links to the show is at citadeldispatch.com. Everything relevant is there. Share with your friends and family. It is helpful. Alex, good to have you back.
Happy to be here.
How's everything been?
It's been good. So when we last talked, we were talking about stacks and we were talking about people vibe coding stuff on Nostr and just like the potential that can have for the future. I think it's it's like the frontier of freedom online right now is AI. Um, and so I've been building tools to make it easier for people to use AI to build their own sort of like, worlds online to be able to have that freedom. Um, but I'm also I've also been feeling concerned about big AI and about how we can fight against that. Um, and so these are kind of some of the things I've been working on and thinking about. And most notably, since our last talk, I have launched Shakespeare, and that's Shakespeare.diy, and that is a vibe coding tool that people can use to develop Nostr clients.
I'm listening.
And yep, and
Keep
so
going.
that's been really exciting. We've had people building, just dozens of different Nostr clients with this tool. And what's great about it is you don't have to have any technical knowledge or experience. You can just, it's similar to other solutions like Lovable V0. You can kind of just tell it what you want, and then it will build it. Um, and so I have a V1 of this right now, which is what is live, and I'm currently working on a V2 of Shakespeare that is going to give people even more freedom and control, because the new version is going to run entirely in the browser.
That's badass.
Yep. So
yeah. Sorry, I'm having technical difficulties over here that I'm trying
You're
to
good.
troubleshoot live on air. I think I got us to a decent spot. Let's see if this works. I lost my live chat, freaks. It's all about the live chat on Dispatch. Respect. Delete. Okay. I guess I got to vibe code a new live chat setup. I want to talk about the concerns about big AI real quick,
Sure.
because this is something that I'm intimately concerned with. Look at that. There we go. We got our live
Beautiful.
chat back. So it's an interesting phenomenon, twofold. So I'll start the discussion here. First off, it's interesting that in the U.S. we probably are in the lead in terms of models and tools, but it's all proprietary and closed source, except for recently OpenAI finally released an open source model that's decent, but not nearly as good as their proprietary closed models. And then
Right.
China, on the other hand, is like just aping into open source. They're kind of also playing catch up, but like all the top open source models are really out of China. Meta had an open source model, Llama, that's just complete shit. Is not really competitive. The one caveat we have on the American side is, Block came out with Goose, but that's on like the agent side. It's more like a front end. It's
Exactly.
not the actual model itself. And then to top it all off, like there's a lot of speculation on like, okay, what will LLMs be capable in the future? What kind of new functionality will they provide us? But in the short term, the single thing that they're very, very good at is analyzing like mass hordes of harvested data. It's like perfect for the surveillance, like levels up the surveillance state almost instantly without any improvements really needing to be made. So how do you think about that? Just like the general, I mean, I kind of gave you two different things, but
Oh,
what
I
are your
have like
thoughts there?
10 different things I want to say. Hopefully I can keep it all in my head and say it all.
Go for it.
On GPT's open source models, I noticed that they don't dog food them at all. You can't even use their open source models through their web UI, which is really annoying. Like it's almost
Oof.
just like a um just like a bone that they're throwing to somebody, maybe to Trump, because in in Trump's AI, like for America document, it actually listed open source as one of the main ways to make America AI win. And I thought that was really interesting. Um, Rare W, but so maybe it's like just trying to appease that. In terms of China leading open source models, yes. And also, I think that this kind of proves that, like the how open source can be a thing that gets your foot in the door to make it something that's relevant, right? Like they don't have the best models, but they have open source models. So like people are seeing what they're doing, right? And I'm sure that in China there's all kinds of organizations making models that are not open source, but we only hear about the ones that are open source because open source is what allows them to win.
Right.
Um, and this kind of overlaps
Like
with like what you're doing with OpenSats.
I would never use a Chinese closed source model. I mean, I'm probably also
Right.
one of the few that would never. I don't use the proprietary U.S. models either, but I definitely wouldn't use a Chinese closed model. And then I end up using the Chinese open models because it's the best open models that are available.
Yeah, and so I've been experimenting with some of those. I tried Kimi K2 for like a week, and I was really impressed with it at first, but then I ended up going back to Claude because it just wasn't there. And I've been researching like how do you run this thing? And it's like, okay, well, you need $1 million worth of graphics cards. So and that's just the initial cost of the hardware. That's not even the continual running cost of it. So like that's a barrier, and then I'm saying like, so can you tell me about Tiananmen Square? And it's like Tiananmen Square, I don't know what you're talking about. And so it just felt to me like even though it's open source, it violates the principles of open source by being something that's literally impossible for normal people to run while also having censorship built in. But then
Right.
again, the American models also have censorship built in on all kinds of different things too. Um, and so, okay, so Kimi K2, it wasn't really it, but then recently ZAI came out with GLM, and this is the one that has been finally the one to push me over onto the Chinese AI side, and now I'm going to be speaking Mandarin in a year. I'm going to be like in Taiwan, um, and I feel like China has entered into my life, and I'm really curious and interested in thinking about China a lot. Probably I'm thinking about China more now than I was when I was working with Donald Trump. Um,
Well, well, let's just pull on that thread for a second. This thought on, because it's not really censorship. Censorship's the wrong word. We almost need a new word. But when you're using these
I
models, like the way
think
they're
it is.
trained, or what?
I think it kind of is censorship because they train it to specifically not respond to certain
Right.
requests.
Or respond a certain way.
Right. And I think like in Tiananmen Square, there's training data that instructs it. I mean, it's self censorship in a way, in the same way that you would tell like a person that
Yeah,
they're
because they're
not
not really
allowed.
censoring us.
Yeah, they're not censoring you. Right. It's true.
They're blocking our access to the information.
You're right.
But it's just so. I mean, Tiananmen Square is a good example, and I guess I'm sorry for the Chinese listeners we have because this episode is probably just going to get like blackballed all over there right now. But it's a very extreme example. But the crazier thing to me is like the more nuanced examples that are happening in the West that are harder to pinpoint where they're happening. And sometimes it's probably even unintentional, right? It's like, where are they getting the training data from? Like they could get the training data from Wikipedia, and Wikipedia could have a slant, or a specific Wikipedia entry could have a slant, and then the model has a slant. But
Yep.
that's pretty dark. It's because it's so hard. It's like not even book burning. It's like the book didn't exist. You know what I mean? It's like kind of a weird thing to wrap your head around, of the
Yeah, it's
implications of
funny
that.
because if China would just give up on this one thing and just be like, yeah, yeah, Tiananmen Square happened, then like it would be so much easier to just ignore all of the little things that
Right.
they do that are similar
That's the
to
Western way.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder, like, I mean, to me, like, there's something there about, so I first went down like and I don't really use. I know I promised you that I was gonna start vibe coding by the time I had you back on, but
Well, now
fortunately
you can.
we've had you on sooner, and second of all, I haven't actually held up onto my side of the bargain, so I don't really use. I don't use these tools for that. I use them more like chatbots and like virtual assistant type of scenarios, and I mostly use Maple. So I first started by self-hosting, right? And I would run these models, and I'd have to run like the really gimped models because my computer is not $5,000, and then I switched to Maple because they give me pretty strong privacy and security guarantees. It's like kind of a similar model to Signal, but I can use like the latest and greatest open models. And the cool part there with Maple is like I can pick which model I use, right? It's got like a drop down of like 7 of the top ones or whatever that they support. And I think there's something there, and we're not quite there yet, but there's something there about kind of running them in that environment. It's harder to do it in a self-hosted environment, but in that environment, kind of running them simultaneously to check each other's work might be, it's not really a solution, but it might be the mitigation to that kind of foundational level bias or slant or censorship, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I've been just trying to figure out how to self-host, because all of these services people are using are through some, API that's run by somebody else, and I really
Yeah.
just I really just want to host it myself. Like, you know, I feel like 10 years ago the fight was Twitter, and we need to self-host Twitter. And so like Mastodon was sort of the biggest first introduction to that, which is when I got started in this movement. And now there's just so many ways to self-host Twitter that it's become this saturated market. And now with Shakespeare, you could just like vibe code a kind one client
Right.
however you want. So now it feels like the big impossible thing that I'm reaching for is self-hosting AI. And how can we do this in a way to where people can actually have control over this revolutionary and potentially dangerous technology? Dangerous if normal people don't have the means to control it themselves.
So how do you think that looks besides waiting 10 years for like hardware costs to be lower? Like everyone's, if the requirement is a $5,000 computer,
Oh,
there's going
the
to be like
requirement
10
is much
people.
higher than a $5,000
But
computer.
even just, even to be like in relative competency, like to even be close to the completely, not only hosted, but like controlled walled garden, KYC'd walled garden type of stuff, you need to have a very expensive piece of hardware.
Yes, exactly. And so I mean there are advancements that people are making. In particular, Chinese open source models are making these advancements. So all of the main like big AI companies are using dense transformer models, which is where basically whenever you ask it a question, it's responding to you with all of the world's information in that one response, and it has to activate all of the world's information, which requires electricity, which comes with a cost.
Right.
But these open source Chinese AI models are using a mixture of experts approach in which only part of the AI model needs to be activated to respond to your query. So if you're asking it a question about football, then maybe it only needs the sport expert to respond to that query. And the result is that it can be a lot cheaper and use a lot less electricity to respond to that particular query because only part of the model is activated. And um, big AI companies are afraid to do this approach because they are all racing for AGI, and
Right.
it's harder to have a model that works really well when you have to balance this mixture of experts thing, as opposed to just having it respond with all of the world's information on each request. So this is just an example of like ways that the model itself can be structured differently so that it can become more accessible to people. But the accessible version of this, after all of this is done,
Right.
requires $1 million worth of GPU hardware. So like this is step one here, and like how do we get to a step where even $5,000 is good enough. I don't know.
And it's even worse than like it requires $1 million worth of GPUs, but to me, I mean, I look at everything from a Bitcoin perspective. It reminds me of ASICs. Like you pay $1 million worth of GPUs, and then in like 4 years, they're worth like 100K. Like you're just like completely burning money. It's not like it's like you're investing for your family or your community, and you're like
Right,
good for a
exactly.
decade.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But my hope is that the models are going to get cheaper. Another thing also that I was reading about this morning is that in China they have like so much energy that they don't know what to do with. Apparently,
Yeah.
they are running on 80% reserve at all times or higher. And in the US, like in Texas here, twice a year the power grid fails and we lose power for like a week because it rained a little bit. And so it's also cheaper to just consume this electricity in China because they have so much energy availability there.
Yeah, I
So,
mean that's a
but they're
battle. That's a battle that Bitcoiners have been fighting for a while. We need more energy production. It leads to human flourishing. China's way ahead of us in that game. And this the stat is I might be I'm definitely wrong, but it's something like China's adding like a full America worth of capacity of energy every year or something insane like that.
yeah, it's
Um,
crazy.
I mean it's interesting, right? Because like on our side in America, we're constrained on the energy side, and that should probably change now that big tech is finally not concerned trolling Bitcoiners on energy usage and instead encouraging more energy production. So we're like finally aligned with like the Mag 7 for like the first time in over a decade on that point. I mean, they were all the proof of stake maxis for a while. So that should hopefully at least start trending in a better direction. But so like we're energy restricted and then they're chip restricted because of like the export controls and
Exactly.
whatnot. So they're on both sides are kind of operating under different, and so then as a result on different constraints, and so as a result the models kind of and like the strategies kind of model basically off of those constraints, right?
Right, but and this is why ironically China's models they're developing are more efficient than our models. Even though
Right.
they have access to more energy, their chip restrictions are preventing them from being able to have enough GPU power to run these bigger models efficiently. So they're kind of being forced to do these mixture of expert things, but then that ends up being better for us because now like I mean $1 million is not, inaccessible here. It's just like it's much lower of a barrier than it would be to run GPT-5.
Right. Okay, all this is fascinating. So let's talk about Shakespeare. I see someone is trying to use it and says that their lightning path is failing, but so you might want to check your lightning node. I don't know how you're processing payments.
It's through Albi.
Well, there's your issue.
All right, maybe someone in the community can help me out.
Um, yeah, we'll figure. I mean, are you running your own node? Are you self-hosting your own node?
It's Albi Hub, so technically yes, but I'm not really doing anything
Right,
fancy.
but so it is your own node with your own channels.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, freaks.
Maybe I
Well,
need to open
here's a
a bigger one.
yeah
Yeah.
here's a call to action. Either look up his node, or I see ditto in the comments. Either look up his node, or I'm going to put his node in the show notes. Let's open a bunch of liquidity to his node so he doesn't have payment failures anymore. You understand
Thank
like the
you.
concept of Lightning, right? Like you need to have
I
inbound
do.
liquidity and outbound liquidity. Inbound's much harder to get, but if you're a good product or service, people generally will open inbound to you just so that
Yeah.
no, Albi, I see decoy owl. Albi Hub is good if but it's for managing your own nodes. So at the end of the day, your issue is I thought at first I thought he meant he was using Albi's old custodial wallet, which they've been phasing out. It might be completely phased out. Albi Hub just at the end of the day, you're managing your own Lightning node. So anyone who's managed a Lightning node knows it's a mental burden, and inbound liquidity can be a pain in the ass. And that's clearly where we're at. But anyway, the good
It's
parts
been
of Shakespeare.
interesting because you know, I have to pay the AI cost from the upstream providers in US dollars, but the
Right.
majority of people using Shakespeare are paying me in Lightning. And
Right.
so all of you people who are using Shakespeare and paying with Lightning, you're converting my USD into Bitcoin for me. So thank you.
That's a great way to get no KYC Bitcoin.
There you go.
It's a great way to stack sets. I've always said that the way we see merchant adoption happen is actually from that direction. It's merchants who want Bitcoin rather than users that want to spend Bitcoin. You kind of can't force it, but if the merchant wants Bitcoin, then it makes a lot more sense. Okay, so let's talk the rise of the vlog. First of all, do you know how to pronounce VLOG?
I believe it's vlog.
Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense. It should be video log, right? So it's vlog. It's a
Are they
hard V.
bullying you over this on the internet?
Yeah, I suppose
I'm sorry.
I learned how the pronunciation happened on my other show yesterday. So I've been getting bullied. Do you know what the B in blog stands for?
I didn't know that it was an acronym.
The B in blog stands for web. It's a weblog. So if you
Oh,
go down that
interesting.
route, it's a soft B, web blog, and then video log is a hard V, so it should be vlog, video log. I don't
So it
know.
should be
I'm
like,
wrong.
so blog should be blog, basically.
Web blog.
Yeah, blog.
Blog, yeah. I don't know. Well, anyway, the rise of the vlogs. Anyway, this is our live vlog or vlog. What's the difference between a vlog and TikTok? Isn't TikTok just like the modern vlog?
Um, I had not really thought about that before, but I guess so.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well,
I mean,
anyway, I'm
well,
sorry.
it's you. It has to be like you have to be describing something, right? Like it has to be like autobiographical. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I thought you were gonna ask me about Nostr versus Nostr again, and
Well,
I
we
was gonna be
also, I
like,
mean, we can disagree. We can agree to disagree on that one because you do
yeah,
pronounce it wrong.
oof.
Okay, so Shakespeare, what does that look like right now? What has changed? This got released since our last episode, right?
It did. Yeah. So this is the way that people previously you had to use a terminal to use MKStack. Now
Right.
people can just go on the web. You can do it on your phone, and it looks like a ChatGPT UI, and you can say, build me a site like Twitter on Nostr, or build me a site like Instagram on Nostr, or ideally you'd say something like, build me a Nostr community for my Pokemon uh, group, my Pokemon club, and then add a Pokédex to it. Or like build me a Nostr community for farmers and add a marketplace to be able to buy and sell tractors. And so like it's just going to allow us to create these extremely personalized, customized experiences with AI. And it's kind of just waiting for artists and product people to come in and just write the right terms to make Nostr win.
Oh, this is awesome. So like everything can just happen right in browser. Like I don't need to download anything, or I just
Yep.
pay you and just in browser I just start vibing.
Yep.
And so then what's going on in the back end?
So right now I have a server rack in my living room, and that's where all of the files are stored. And so and that thing is talking to the AI behind the scenes. It's just connecting to um, some upstream AI provider. I've been switching it between Claude and GLM, and testing different providers. But so your browser is going over Nostr relays to communicate with this Nostr service provider that is then doing all the AI stuff and managing your files. But this is
Okay,
Act
go.
1, and I'm currently developing Act 2, which changes the architecture so that the files will actually be in your browser instead of in my server. I'm like working on decloudifying it right now, if that makes sense.
Got it. So what's my NSP? My Nostr
So
service provider?
yes, and
I'm
this was
I'm
a
logged
term.
I'm logged in right now.
Cool. So now you should be able to click on the NSP dropdown and add funds to it, and then you should be able to prompt it.
Just blindly authorizing things for my extension while I'm live on the show is probably not the best idea.
And it'll just
Authorized.
start running once you give it a prompt, and it usually takes about 10 minutes, maybe 15, depending on the complexity of the prompts, to finish this, because it's kind of like you're just telling a developer to do something, and it's the fastest possible developer, known to humankind.
Okay, so I see in my NSPs there's Gemini Flash Playground, there's MK Stack, there's Soapbox Playground, and there's MK Stack Dev.
So if
what?
the Gemini Flash Playground is a free one that you can use to test things, but the experience is what you would expect from something that's free.
Okay,
And
so the MK Stack is the best one to use?
Yes, and that one requires you to add funds to it before you can use it.
Open payment page. It brings me to Stripe.
There's a selector box there which you can click to do Lightning. And I've been thinking about switching the order of those tabs.
I see.
So that the Bitcoin one is actually the default tab.
It would be like the lamest thing ever if I paid with credit card. Continue to pay.
Well, yeah, I've enabled fiat over Nostr, unfortunately, or fortunately.
Let's see. Look, at the end of the day, you got to accept fiat. I like the idea of
kind of my thinking.
You should, first of all, prioritize the Bitcoin side, but give people a discount if they pay in Bitcoin.
I like that.
Oh, right. You don't have liquidity, right? So I can't. Someone says Ditto says they're working on it, and that's you, right? Is that your team?
Yeah, it is.
Or are you just in the live chat typing? I guess that's your team, right?
No, that's my team.
Okay, I can't pay for it, but so presumably in. So I can just so what you're connecting to some kind of API provider for the actual LLM on the back end, right? And so is that Claude?
Yes, exactly. So it's configurable. Something that's really cool is that most of the AI providers now have just standardized on OpenAI's API. So you can just drop and replace them. And so like 2 days ago it was Claude. Right now it's GLM. It's ZAI.
Make me a Nostr app that just shows images. Do I have to be like more descriptive than that?
Nope. Because what you'll see is it actually knows to read the NIPs. And the first thing it'll do is it will check the NIPs to see if there are any that could pertain to your request. And then if there are, then it will read those specific NIPs.
Interesting.
And you should be able to see it doing it.
Yeah, I'm watching it. Well, I'm in the free one because you want to take my money right now.
That's okay. It should mostly.
But yeah, it's going. Well, let's see if replace screen sharing window.
Okay, so the first thing it did was it checked the project structure, right, at the very top. Okay. Yep. And so now it's looking at the package JSON.
Dude, this is pretty fucking awesome.
This one, all right, I guess it decided not to read the NIPs. The thing about Flash, Gemini Flash, is that it has been optimized to do things quickly and to ignore instructions.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah.
Why does this say $999? Is that just the way you hacked it to be free?
Yes.
Does it have unlimited credits?
Oh, okay, now good. It's checking the NIP. It is reading the NIP. Good. All right.
And so this is saying it's 21% along the progress right now?
That's the context window. And so each AI model has a limit to the size of the chat history before it can't continue in that chat anymore. And so once that hits it's kind of like a reverse health bar, I've heard it described as, to where once it hits 100, then like this robot must die.
Got it. So it's actually not a progress bar. You're just
Correct.
telling me.
Hopefully it doesn't hit 100%, because if it does, then you're gonna have to start over.
Well, I gave it like the simplest fucking prompt ever.
Yep. So which nips did it read?
NIP 68.
And then you should be able to click and
Picture
see.
first feeds.
Okay, great. So it's gonna make you
that's
something
cool.
like Instagram.
View full NIP document.
Yeah, that's the I forget what's the name of Pablo's
OLAS.
app. Yeah, OLAS. It should be OLAS compatible.
OLAS is NIP 68.
I believe so.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah, and so this could take 10 to 15 minutes probably to finish, and then once it does, it'll pop open with a sidebar that'll show you.
Okay, your team just messaged me in the chat. They just gave me credits because they're trying to figure out the Lightning node.
Oh, awesome.
It's not loading now. I had this happen to me before. Okay, wait, let's stop screen. Stop screen sharing. Have you seen that error?
Where it goes white?
When you refresh. Okay,
it's working on my end.
Wait, I want to show. Well, it's only when it happened to me when I clicked refresh.
Yeah,
I love just like log in with extension is so easy. So I wanted to. Okay, I'm back. MK stack. Nice. I got $100.
$100 in there. Great.
Okay, what should my prompt be? Build me a do I have to say Nostr web app?
No, because it already knows that. So
it's always a web app, right?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
That shows full screen images as they are published only from people I follow. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. Send vibe.
I've been doing a lot weirder stuff, like, build me a Nostr site where I can trade Pokemon, and like build me a Nostr badges site, things like that.
Do people still use Nostr badges? Is that a thing?
I really like the idea of it, but I think that it's one of those things that's like, well, it's kind of not a priority for a lot of projects, but if you can just vibe code it in 5 minutes, then why not?
Right. Fair enough. I mean, I like the concept of badges. So do you think that like people are just gonna vibe their own apps and that's how they're gonna interact with Nostr?
I do. I mean, I kind of feel like Nostr is at this turning point right now. And I think that like people just aren't buying what we're selling. Like the world just isn't. The world doesn't want it. I want it. We want it. Our community wants it. But in terms of mainstream adoption, like something's gonna have to happen. And I'm hopeful that if we just wait long enough, then some major world event would occur that would cause people to flood to it because of like, some big censorship issue.
What's kind of happening right now, right? With like the Online Safety Act or whatever out of the UK.
Yeah. But it just feels like we've kind of passed that point. Like we've already had these major events that have happened, and we've already had mass migrations, and I'm not sure that the same type of thing is going to happen in the same way again. And so I've been thinking about, okay, maybe I need to change my point of view here. Instead of being this sort of like war hero type of person that I've perceived myself as being before, where I'm like going in and it's this big political battle. Maybe I need to position myself more as a product person who is building something that is actually interesting, that people want to use in and of itself. And then like, and the great thing is that this only really works because of Nostr. So
Right.
it's not like Nostr is just a side effect, although it, in some ways it is. But in other solutions, people are struggling right now to get sign-in to work on their Vibe-coded apps
Because
because
they need like Twitter
legacies,
API and shit, right?
right? They like, or like email, right? Like you need a backend basically, and that's something that AI tools struggle to build, is a full stack application with a backend. And the people who are building those things, I feel they are fighting hard against a strong current.
And it's like super
Whereas,
insecure, right? Like they had like that app where like the women were rating the men or whatever, and then like all the KYC docs were just in like
yep,
an open Firebase folder or
that's a great
whatever.
example. But with Nostr, like Nostr flips the authentication and it flips like where the protected resource actually is. So authorization happens from you as the user rather than like from the server. And the servers are permissionless. They're relays. As long as you can identify yourself using your key. And so because of the design of Nostr, it allows us to build Vibe coded apps where sign-in just works the first time. And it's not very hard. It's easy. So
And then you get the social graph. You don't need to get any APIs.
exactly.
I mean, it's really, and then you mix Bitcoin into that puzzle, and then all of a sudden you have payments. So
Yep.
you don't have to worry about integrating Stripe or whatever and everything
Yep.
that entails. So it just makes, so like maybe that is the biggest selling point of Nostr. Maybe that is the actual Lindy selling point of Nostr and not censorship resistant. The censorship resistant part is just a side effect. It's just being able to
Right.
vibe without permission.
That's kind of what I've been thinking is like,
Oh, I think it's done. Sorry, continue.
this is the future of technology. And so if we can get in on that, then it's going to matter.
Is this my app on the left, on the right?
Yes,
It's not
it
good.
is.
No,
It's got a
S2X isn't
very,
going to show my private key up here, right? Oh, you can't even see it.
no.
Nice. Let's see.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if it worked.
Oh, all right. I was a little bit worried
Dude,
at first.
that's pretty cool. That's dope. Damn. You made it a lot easier than it was before.
Whew.
Shout
I
out
was
you, bro.
sweating on the live demo.
So that only cost me $2.26. Well, technically, it cost your team $2.26. I'll reimburse you guys. That's pretty crazy.
I think you've probably sent me more zaps, over the years.
Well, we'll keep the balance correct. I'll make sure. So okay. So I have this. Is this just a regular web link?
Yes, it is.
So I could share that link to this new web app that I just created. I
Yep.
can share that with like friends and family, whoever. I could post it, and then anyone could use this app.
Exactly.
Now, how does that work in terms of your hosting costs? Are you just eating those right now, or?
Yes, but because it is a static website, it is not really cost me anything in terms of CPU. It's only costing me or RAM, really, it's only costing me in terms of disk. So, I need to have, but I'm running this all on my server rack in my living room. So like, if I run out of disk space, I don't have recurring monthly costs for disk. I just need to have a one-time cost of buying a new disk and putting it in there.
Got it.
So the cost is not great. Probably more than anything, there's a sort of ongoing maintenance burden of this thing, of just ensuring that it's constantly running and working correctly.
Right. It's like your Trump bot. It's like you close your laptop
Right.
and then we don't get
Exactly.
Trump posts.
And so this,
on Nostr.
for that reason, that's why the new version of Shakespeare I'm developing tries to move as much of the application logic as possible to run within your browser instead of having it run on my server.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So like it's really running. You're trying to offload as much of it locally in browser,
Exactly.
and the web page is just serving me that local code or whatever.
Yep. And something I'm really excited about of the sort of.
But you could also charge for that, right? Like,
yeah.
I would happily pay to have it. I mean, because it's an interesting little problem. It's an interesting problem, right? Because you add so much friction if you were making me actually go and set up hosting myself to host the web app. Even though if it is any good, like eventually someone would. But like to just have it running automatically is fucking great. I think people would pay for that privilege.
It's true. It's a good point.
You can make a decent margin on it too.
Yeah, we've been kind of struggling with the finances of it because of the fact that Claude is so expensive, and we're hoping that by changing the model to something that's a little bit more efficient, it's going to allow us to not be negative on this, basically.
So but that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
the margins are tight on the actual LLM side, but on the web hosting side, the short link that
it's
you
a good idea
is actually probably relatively cheap, but to the user, it's quite valuable because it's just awesome to just immediately have a URL you can point people to.
I think you have a point.
Yeah. Business on air.
Thank
trying
you
to
for
have it update.
Trying to have it financial advice.
I'm trying to have it update my app now. I want 4 images in it. I should have done something more crazy. Like what I have such a simple mind. Okay, well, here's the app. Someone asked
you can always just make new prompts and new tabs, and it's good to challenge the AI to see if there's things that you think that maybe it can't do, and just to see if it can do it.
I feel like this is a kind of. I've been like a little bit distracted this episode because we had the live chat go down, but this might be one of the first times someone's vibe coded an app on a live show. So I apologize to the audio listeners, but we might have just made history here.
Hell yeah.
Oh, okay, look, I got my new app just loaded. So 4 images is better. It was too full screen before.
Now you're addicted.
You know what was the pro move, by the way? On my second time I did the prompt, I said only people I follow because we're live. And we didn't want any accidental dick pics. I think that
is a good move, because I've seen some. I was a bit worried because I've seen some content in these Instagram style feeds that.
Yeah, it's like what Dorsey made or whatever, which was just like the
fire hose,
like the schizophrenic fire hose, where it's just like constantly loading new images from everybody. There was a lot of questionable stuff in there.
Yep.
But yeah, I saved myself by doing the. I saved us by doing the. Let's see what happens when I click. You can click full screen. Wow, that's pretty fucking cool, dude. Well done. Shout out to you and your team.
Thank you.
And shout out to my followers for having good images.
But this is the thing now. Like, back in the day, it was so hard to build things. I mean, it kind of still is. People haven't really realized that this is something that you can do completely yet. I think that we're still early on this, but now ideas matter more than ever. It used to be execution was all that matters. Ideas are a dime a dozen. Oh, you have some great, brilliant idea. Who cares? It only matters if you implement it. Now it's becoming a thing where implementing it is becoming a given that you can just expect because an AI can do it. So it's really moving to a world where the people with the best ideas are the ones who can do the most.
I agree with that. And also, yeah, I mean, I'm full of shit. Like, there's no way I'm the first person to vibe live. So you couldn't let me have it. Ski, I see you, or Sky. I don't know how to pronounce your name. It's like vlog. It's too confusing. Freaks, do you have any questions for Alex? Because I'm a little bit lost here. I'm tired, and my head's just running on what I'm going to vibe next. But if you have any questions, put it in the live chat.
Welcome to the party.
It does. But then once you actually, so like on that thread, once you can always get like the MVP executed on an idea. But then once that happens, you either need to be a developer, like bring in someone who knows what the fuck they're doing if you actually want like to scale it, right?
So it depends. Like it depends on the scope of the project. So yeah, scale is the right word, because right now there are limits to this for sure. But like the limit is a lot further than you might think. Like for example, BitChat. I'm pretty sure Jack just completely vibe coded that. I mean, I think there's also a lot of back and forth of talking to the agent and like understanding things about how, you know, Bluetooth mesh networks actually work. But if you're willing to learn along the way and you're willing to have some technical understanding of what's happening, I don't think that you necessarily have to touch code.
I mean, the coolest part about BitChat to me was he vibed a native iOS app, and then Callie vibed a native Android app from that.
It's so
like the
awesome.
cross-platform capability, I think that is like one of the single coolest examples. I mean, how many times it's always been such a frustrating thing for me as someone who has done a lot of work on the education side is apps that are just stuck on a single platform. Like it's really hard to recommend Nostr, for instance, if you're like use Nostr on like first you have to ask like what device you're using. It's like, oh, you're on iPhone, like use Nostr or use Damus or whatever. Oh, you're on Android, you have Amethyst available to you. And we see this in the Bitcoin world a million times over. And when you just have like one app, when you can just say use Phoenix Wallet, and it doesn't matter if they're on Android or iOS, it's such an easier recommendation.
Yeah. So I mean, it's gonna change. It's gonna change everything. It's changing the whole game.
I love it. I see a question. I saw a question and I got distraction.
Yeah, there's a few people I want to shout out actually.
Okay, go
who are
for
doing
it.
stuff. So Fran's app has been building Purple Stack, and Purple Stack is similar to MK Stack, but it's for Android, and that's something that is really exciting too. It's kind of related to what we were talking about with, you know, Callie being able to vibe code an Android app, but by having all of that context there for Nostr clients, it just makes it a lot easier to do things on Android. And so, you know, he's kind of followed my methodology that I've set out for building MKStack for the web, and then applied that to Android. And there's opportunities for other spaces too, like iOS, or, you know, maybe just something that's a more specific use case that we may wish for it to be customized in various different ways, like a kind one, you know, sort of client stack that then could be customized various different ways. So what he's doing is really cool. Check out Purple Stack as well to see, you know, other ways that you can build stuff with a similar methodology. And then I saw Hazard earlier. He had mentioned something about a service worker thing I could reuse, but in Shakespeare, in the original version of it, it was using Nsight, and I'm going to be moving back to that in the V2, where people can deploy stuff directly from their browser, and then it gets uploaded to Blossom servers. And so that means that you can vibe code like a web app in one of these AI things, and then you can deploy it to Blossom servers, and then a Blossom gateway would be able to serve it from in a censorship resistant way by scanning across multiple Blossom servers, which is like
so then it
fucking
removes that
amazing.
actual hosting aspect.
Yeah.
But what do you do about the actual like web URL?
Yeah, so that would be like it'd have an npub in the subdomain. It's pretty ugly, but then I've been thinking about designing some sort of system where you can create like a DNS over Nostr type of thing, where you can then map subdomain labels to n-site npubs, and then you'd be able to support custom domains that way.
But still, if like the proxy goes down, then you can't access the app anyway, even though
Right,
it's all hosted in
there
Blossom,
are
right?
multiple n-site proxies.
Got it.
Gateways. Gateway is the correct term. And then with a NNS thing, then you could map to multiple domains to multiple n-site gateways. So that's really cool of a thing that exists that we're going to be leaning into a little bit more in the future.
That's kind of hard to imagine, but seems like it could be massive.
Yep. And so we've already been experimenting with that. If you run npm run deploy in an mkstack site, it will upload it to an n site, and you'll be able to just share an n site link, and it's completely permissionless. It's amazing.
That's awesome. We also need more Blossom servers, right? Like we just don't have that many right now.
So I was thinking maybe in terms of a paid subscription type of model, maybe on a specific Blossom server is a good place to put that.
I mean, that could actually, I mean, I know Blossom was like originally envisioned for like video and photo, but, and I mean, one of the big issues with video,
works, so.
Yeah, any file, but like one of the issues with video is like videos are so large. Like this payload would be significantly smaller.
Absolutely.
Right? Like how big is that app I created? Like how big is that app?
I would say 2 megabytes max.
Right.
Probably closer to 1 megabyte, but also it's split across 3 or 4 files. So probably each file is like 500 kilobytes or less. So like this, the size of a photo, size of a JPEG.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking cool. And so then the payload's so lightweight because most things are just running inside the browser locally anyway.
Yep.
Right.
And so then so if we move all of the files in the browser, which by the way, this brings me to, I see Dan Conway Dev is in this chat too. And he's been working on amazing things with decentralized Git. And that's the thing I'm most excited about of the next version of Shakespeare is the deep Nostr Git integrations, because here's how I imagine the user experience being. You go onto Shakespeare, you sign in with your Nostr account, you vibe code something, and then you click like, okay, I'm done. And then it pushes that to a Nostr Git repository completely permissionlessly. You don't have to do anything else. All you need is a Nostr account, because that's how Grasp works, is that you have a Nostr account and then you can immediately push code to Git. And so now other people can collaborate with you on that code. Now, when people go to your vibe coded website, imagine there's a edit with Shakespeare button on that website. They click on that button, it opens Shakespeare. It then clones that Nostr Git repository into your browser, and then you can immediately start like writing a patch for it. And then there can be a button that you click again that says contribute this patch back, and then it makes a Nostr merge request. And
that's
then
awesome.
Then like the original person can review it and merge it in, and then deploy it. And so I kind of like, this is potentially a replacement of GitHub, in a way. It's like but it's starting with the AI rather than starting with the repositories. And so between this and Nostr Hub and Git Workshop, like you have this full spectrum being covered of vibe coding to traditional development and collaboration over Nostr, because Nostr supplies this social component and this social layer that is just so powerful.
Awesome. And then you have payments built in too.
Exactly. And we have Lightning integration directly into MKStack thanks to Chad. And so now when if you say like add Lightning to this, then it's going to be able to just work.
Well, what does that add?
So it has a like additions to the context that explains to the AI how to implement these features, and it also has files that are baked into the stack that just make it really easy to have like a zap button. And so then if you can just click a zap button and it'll open like a modal window that'll say, it just looks like Primal Zap window where you can just, zap an amount on a particular event.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, yeah. So I could have just been like, do I say add lightning or do I say add zaps?
I think either should work.
I'll play around with it. I'm making a new app right now. And this one's a more difficult prompt. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Okay, this is awesome. I feel like we're at like the precipice here of something that could be just a complete game changer. I feel like my mind has been blown a little bit. It feels like it's kind of all coming together.
Good.
Could be like open source, open protocol renaissance.
Yeah, exactly. Renaissance is the word I've been thinking of a lot lately.
Especially when you add the Git piece, because then everyone
Yes.
can collaborate with each other.
Yeah, like everyone who's not a developer can just be like, oh, I don't like this of this particular client. Like edit with Shakespeare, boom, and yeah,
it's going to be kind of annoying to the actual developers a little bit,
but also it'll be so easy to fork and run your own because
they can just ignore it if they want to.
And then you'll have your own custom URL. And Hazard says CNAME resolution is already a thing in some N-site gateways. So we're already doing it. Amazing. Thank you. I'm glad someone else is doing it so I don't have to do it.
So that, yeah, see, I agree with none of your business. Nobody can come close to figuring out the implications of what was just said. My head hurts already. And I feel like it like really flips the script a bit in terms of it puts a lot of advantage to open source over closed stuff, to go all the way back to our earlier conversation about closed proprietary shit. I mean, you could just have like millions of people working off of each other and just shipping shit live with very little security implications because you're not handling private key material or anything sensitive. No API calls. You don't have to deal with any of that shit. You don't have to deal with hosting. You just fucking vibe and just see what happens.
I think this is the way Nostr wins. And so we got to embrace this path hard.
I think you're right. It's either that or vlogs. It's one or the other. We'll see what happens. Okay, this is awesome. I'm just gonna. I'll actually. I'm guilty of. I tried to do it the other way, and I hit like a single piece of friction, and then like my kid was crying or some shit, and I never continued. But this is like super addicting that I could just do it in the fucking browser window. I'm just gonna spend so much money on once you get your lightning up.
I feel like you're the greatest person to be doing it too. I'm really excited to see what you build.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but we'll see what happens. Well, while I have you here, I'm trying to. This is like kind of an evil. I gave it like kind of a semi-evil prompt. Build me a Nostr web app that shows the location of photos for my followers on a map view. I feel like the map part might be the most difficult for it to handle.
Well, like I know that it's been done before. For example, the Treasures app by Chad has a like geocaching map in there.
So what does it use, like OpenStreetMaps or something?
Yeah, and so it should be possible. I don't know where it's going to get the location data though.
From the photos, because they didn't strip their metadata.
All right, I think that step may actually be the hardest part. But if it can get the data, it can put it on a map.
Everyone, strip the metadata from your photos before you upload them anywhere. If you're uploading on Primal, it should strip the photo metadata for you. It definitely used to. Primal's open source; you can check the code, but it's supposed to strip the data. An easy way to make sure you have all data stripped is if you paste it in Signal and then download from Signal, it strips all metadata automatically. It's also a very easy way to block out faces and stuff before you post. Signal has like some limited photo editing tools in there that because it's just convenient.
Don't upload your
Alex,
IDs to Nostr.
I'll tell you, like, that's probably one of the scariest parts, especially with, so like, now that a lot of these apps have Blossom integration, and like I have like Blossom mirrors set up or whatever. It's like as soon as I upload something, just like immediately gets mirrored to like a bunch of different servers, or I can't remove, and it's like signed, hashed, and I like can't easily remove it. It's like pretty scary
Yeah,
kind of
I feel
setup.
you.
But I don't know. I've been thinking about, like, do you have any thoughts on that? Like from the Primal side, we wanted to just add Blossom and
I mean,
offer that and offer
people
mirrors.
always say deletions are not real deletions on
Yeah.
Nostr, but like prove it, because anytime we've tested whether deletions work, they do work, at least for notes. So I don't know. I don't know if anyone has tested it on Blossom servers, but in terms of like, is it possible in a decentralized way to do deletions? The answer is definitely yes.
Well, it's
Maybe
just the
Hazard
question is
knows.
if they the question is if the servers honor it or not.
Right,
Right.
exactly. Maybe Hazard
Like
knows more
I
about
know
state.
primal servers, like Primal's Blossom and uh the relay and the caching service all honor deletes.
Yeah, I mean,
But I also
virtually
know like
all
UTXO,
relays.
UTXO, the webmaster, he supposedly made a relay that like only saves things that have delete requests. So like if you send out a delete request, like he automatically saves it.
All right.
And it's one of the few things he hasn't released open source because he like doesn't want to be the dude that does it, but someone's going to do it, right?
Well,
It's
don't
still
publish
better
to
than
that
nothing.
relay and don't read from that relay, I guess. And
Yeah.
then everything's good.
Okay, fair enough. Well, who knows how long this app's gonna take to vibe. I'm glad we got a successful demo. I'm glad you got to be here for my first. It was a pleasure having you back. I will say that the top zap from the last rip we did, what did I say? CD174, which by the way, freaks, I think was a better conversation than this. Because we started from the top.
Yeah.
Rather than being like an update episode. Beholder said one of the most interesting guests on Dispatch. Would love to see him join more often, and I second that. So let's try and do this every 2 to 3 months. We'll do
I
a
would love
AI
to.
vibe Nostr update. I love hearing from you, so it's a win-win.
Next, we'll be hearing from you because you're going to build the future of Nostr with this.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you some inbound liquidity. Let's
All right.
get your Lightning node up and going. I will say, I don't know if you want, like, this is also kind of like Evil Empire shit. It's great that you're running your own node and you're getting sats. If you want to just hold on to the sats, then that's probably the best path. But if you are trying to convert it all into dollars to pay your bills and shit, like the Strike API is a good path. Very
Okay.
easy to implement.
Yeah.
But disclosure, largest investor in Strike, and I sit on the board. So, but we intentionally made it's if you want dollars, if you want, you have to KYC, but if you want dollars, it
That's
connects.
good to
Okay.
know. Maybe at a certain point, like maybe yeah, maybe it makes
I mean,
sense
then
for certain points.
you don't have to worry about liquidity or anything like that.
Yeah, because
Okay.
converting is a pain at a certain point when I do have to keep paying the AI providers in dollars.
Let's see if my evil app worked. I spent $8.94 for this view photo map. I think there's like I don't think this is going to work.
I think it's going to display a map, but I wonder if it's going to be able to extract any data from any of these images.
Like there's exact coordinates, right?
Oh shit. Okay.
Now I kind of feel bad. Photo lunchtime, and I have exact coordinates from
In
lunchtime.
Delaware.
Freaks, strip your metadata. Anyway, this is fucking cool though. We live in a brave new world. Alex, I'll post a link to your node so people give inbound liquidity. Shakespeare is at shakespeare.diy. We have, what is it? Soapbox.pub/tools is all your other tools that you guys have been building. I'll link those all in the show notes. You have any final thoughts for the freaks before we wrap?
Build the future with AI on Nostr.
I love it. Freaks, I hope you enjoyed this rip. I know it's a little bit different. We're just doing things live. I was a little bit distracted, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you like the show, as always, best way to support it is actually not with Bitcoin, it's sharing with your friends and family. But Bitcoin donations are appreciated. Interacting with the show, whether that's on Nostr or Podcasting 2.0 apps, leaving comments, leaving feedback, leaving suggestions. All that is awesome. All links at CivilDispatch.com. All my links are at odell.xyz. I'm taking next week off. I'm traveling for this work thing or this Bitcoin thing. That should be pretty good. But as a result, I'm skipping a live show next week. But we'll be back the week after that. Alex, thank you again.
Thank you.
Freaks, stay humble, stack sats.